Welcome back to the Soldotnalong video tech support series. In this video, it is time to start picking up the stitches that we put on hold for the sleeves and knitting them to finish them off. This is pretty much the last major milestone that we have to do before we weave in the ends. So let's take a look. You can see here that I have picked up the stitches that I had on a piece of waste yarn earlier. They are now on, I've got a circular, I think this is a 24-inch circular needle here. You can also use double pointed needles if you're more comfortable, but I like to do mine in magic loop, which is basically what this is. So you can see we've got the sleeve here, and I'm just letting my extra cable kind of hang out there. So it's time to join the color that you're going to finish with. I've got this really pretty maroon color down here, so I'm going to finish my sleeves with that as well. So I'm just going to find the end of my yarn, and I am going to just kind of make a loop, and I'll just set that right there for the moment. So I'm going to pull my cable over here like this, and then I'm going to start knitting across at the underarm. And I'm going to insert the needle into here. I'm just going to put the loop here like this. I'm going to knit the first one, and then I'm going to go ahead and use both the tail and the live yarn to knit the second one, just to secure a stitch so it's nice and tight. Now I can drop the tail. The only thing special here is once I get back around to this stitch, I have to remember that it actually consists of 2 loops, and I have to treat that as if it was just one. So now I am going to continue knitting every single stitch, and the instructions say that once I get back to the underarm, I need to pick up and knit a few more stitches. So I'll show you what that looks like when we get there. And for those of you who are not familiar with magic loop and how this works, I'll show you once we get to the end. So basically we're going to knit one side of the sleeve, and once we get to the end, we'll have to flip the sweater over, and we'll have to do a little adjusting of the needles here. So I'm almost done. And I'm switched back to my larger size needles, by the way. And then we'll have to switch back again to our ribbing size needles. All right, so I've got 2 stitches left. So I have knit all the way across, just like that. And now my needle is free, but there's still stitches on the other side. So I'm going to very carefully turn my entire sweater over. Then I'm going to take the needle that I just freed up, and I'm going to kind of stuff it backwards, and then I'm going to just kind of put my needle inside of the rest of these stitches so that all of the stitches that I have to go across are now on the other side of the needle. And then I'm going to take this needle that I just worked across, and I'm going to pull it out like this, and then I'm going to put it over here. And then I'm going to make sure that this is nice and snug. I'm going to give this just a little bit of a tug so I can wrap around this. And then I'm going to finish this side. Getting to my last 2 stitches here. Okay, so now it says that I need to pick up and knit 5 stitches. And let's talk about why. See if I can turn this carefully like this so you can see. Move the needles out of the way. So if I just start knitting like this and I just join these 2, I have a very large armpit hole right there. So I need to cast on 5 stitches to close this gap. So what my plan is, I'm just going to use this darning needle, is I am going to pick up 5 stitches along the bottom here. So 1 probably right here on the edge in the corner, 2, 3, 4, and then a 5th one right here, okay? Now I know that this looks like a really big gap here, but if I do them along the bottom edge, it will suck the whole thing closed pretty nicely. So here is how we do that. I am going to take the needle that is currently in my right hand with all the stitches on it. And that first place that I showed you, I'm going to go under both loops, just like that. I'm going to take my live yarn, I'm going to yarn over, and instead of using another needle, I'm just going to use these two pincher fingers, and I'm going to put the fabric over. So there's one, and then I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to turn it sideways so I can see the loops. And I'm going to go under two loops and pick up two, and then I'm going to move over here and go under another two loops, spacing them out as best I can. 3, and then we're going to go over here, go under these two loops. That's 4, and then we want to kind of do the one on the side here. It's just a wee bit sideways under these two here. Oops, I lost my yarn, there we go. And this will be 5. All right, so I've bridged that gap by casting on, or picking up and knitting 5 stitches. So now I can start working in the round again. Now it does say that you want to place a marker in between the underarms, like pretty much right in the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and take a locking marker, and I cast on 5 stitches, so really you can't divide those very evenly. So here's the first 2, I'm going to go ahead and put a marker right there. That's going to be my new beginning of round right there. It's right in the middle of the armpit. So now I can go ahead and turn my needles this way, and I can continue knitting in the round. Now, before we do that, we actually need to switch back to our ribbing needles. Now, I am lucky enough that I have some interchangeable needles. If you don't, you're going to grab your other pair and you're just going to basically pass them off of this set of needles onto the other set. But I'm going to pull these out like this, and I'm just going to very quickly take off my larger needle and put on my smaller needle, just like that. And then once those are changed, I can begin working in 2x2 rib. Once you have your ribbing needles back in, it is time to work the ribbing. You're going to work a 2x2 rib just like you did with the bottom, and you're also going to bind off the exact same way we did with Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. That's it. After that, it's time to weave in the ends and wash and block, and we will talk about that in our final video, so I will see you there.